All right, guys, today we are going to be talking about fractions, okay? And we know that a fraction is less than a whole. So if I have 3/4 here, that means that my pizza was cut into 4 pieces. That is the denominator. The denominator at the bottom tells me how many pieces I should cut my pizza, my chocolate, my drink, whatever it may be, into. And so I'm going to cut it into 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I also have to know the numerator up top tells me how much I've drank or how much I've eaten or how much is left. Notice that if the numerator and the denominator are not the same, then I have a fraction, which means less than a whole, right? Less than a whole. So right now, I'm going to color in with a marker. I'm going to color in 3/4. So this right here represents 3 out of 4. Now, my teacher is being crazy silly, and she wants me to come up with a fraction that's equivalent to 3/4. And equivalent is really just a fancy word for equal. Can you say equivalent? Equivalent. All right, there are 2 ways that you can do this. And the best way to do it is to draw a picture with fractions. If you are ever confused, draw a picture. Draw a pizza pie, draw a chocolate bar or a cake. Okay, now listen. If I were to take this chocolate bar and if I were to cut it in half just like this, notice that you can still see the 3/4. I just took the chocolate bar and cut it in half. So whatever this fraction is, it's still going to be equivalent to 3/4. So now I'm going to count my yellow pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's my numerator. 6, and now I'm going to count how many pieces I have now, and that's my denominator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I have 6 out of 8, and 6 out of 8 is equivalent to 3/4. Well, what if I needed to share my chocolate bar even more? And so now I'm going to do another cut on it, okay? And now look at, I can still see that I have 3/4 right here. But now I'm going to count my yellow pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, now I have 9 yellow pieces, and now I need to count all the pieces right here. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And 9 out of 12, or 9/12, is still equivalent to 3/4. Okay, now I got some multiplication masters out there that really understand multiplication. So if Mrs. Blair were to ask me, hey, what is a fraction that's equivalent to 3/4? I'm going to use my multiplication skills. And when I use my multiplication skills, what I do to the top, I do to the bottom. So I'm going to pick some random number. Now, if you're Scarlett and she's wicked at multiplication, she just chooses 7, which is crazy. But I'm going to start with an easy one, 2. And so I'm going to go times 2. And what I do to the top, I do to the bottom. And what is 3 times 2? 3 times 2 is 6. And what is 4 times 2? And 4 times 2 is 8. And 6/8 is equivalent to 3/4. Well, Mrs. Blair, let me try it again. All right, well, 3/4. Okay, and I'm going to pick, this time I'm just going to pick times 3. And what you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom, okay? So 3 times 3 is 9. And 4 times 3 is 12. And 9/12 is still equivalent. So you could draw a picture like Mrs. Blair did up here, or if you're really super duper in math and multiplication, you can do this right here. All right, let me do another one for you, okay? Are you ready? Let's try 2/3. All right, so we know that 2/3 is a fraction because the 2 is smaller than the 3. So I know that it's not a whole pizza. So I'm going to draw my chocolate bar. And I'm going to cut it into 3 pieces because the denominator says 3. So I'm going to cut it in 1 and 2. And you know, when we're doing fractions, we try to make it as equal as possible. Okay, I'm going to take a different color and I'm going to color, and I'm first going to represent 2/3. Okay, so here are my 2/3 right here. All right, now I'm going to do it what Mrs. Blair said, how I draw a picture. So I'm going to draw 2/3, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to cut it in half. And then I'm going to stop and I'm going to count. How many orange pieces do I have here? Yeah, that's 4. So that is the the numerator. And how many pieces total do I have? And that is right. And we have 6 total pieces. So 4/6 is equivalent to 2/3 because look at, I can still see my 2/3. All right, I'm going to cut it again. I know these pieces aren't really equal because I'd like to have this piece right here, but we're just showing as an example, okay? All right, I still see my 2/3. So now let's count all the orange pieces. That's going to be my numerator, and we have 6. All right, and then let's count our total pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we're going to have 9 at the bottom. And 6/9 is equivalent to 2/3 because look at, I can still see my 2/3 right here. All right, then I'm going to cut it again. All right, ooh, now how many orange pieces do you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I was counting too fast. 7 and 8. And I have 8 up top. And then how many total pieces do I have? I have the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And 8/12 is still equivalent to 2/3. Now, if I'm fancy schmancy down here, I'm going to go 2/3 and I'm going to do the multiplication way. What you do to the top, you must also do to the bottom. And I'm going to take times 2 to the top and I'm going to take times 2 to the bottom. And 2 times 2 is 4. And 3 times 2 is 6. And 4/6 is equivalent to 2/3. And I'm going to come down here, and you know what else I can do? I can do my times 5 because times 5s are very easy. I can just count by 5s. All right, so 2 times 5 is 10, and 3 times 5 is 15. And all of these fractions right here, are equivalent to 2/3, and they represent 2/3. Okay, this would be me taking my 2/3 right here and cutting it into 2 different pieces. And just like I showed you right here, if I take my 2/3 like this and I cut it into 2 pieces, 1 piece here and 1 piece here, I would have 4/6. And this is 2/3, but then I'm cutting it into 5 pieces, but you can do the math too. So that is 2 ways to find equivalent fractions the fancy schmancy way. You always, always, always can draw a picture when you're dealing with fractions, okay? Don't be afraid to draw a picture. Pictures help me too. Okay, again, this is how you find an equivalent fraction, and I hope it helps.